Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Brilliantly Resilient Live, sort of, sometimes.
Awesome.
As
Our
in not
live
today.
show. Yeah, our live show that we will upload after it's live for us. It's live for the three of us. So there you
Yes.
go.
We are
And
live.
we have already been having a good time as we were trying to get on Facebook Live and are already well into the conversations that you can now all jump in on, because we are having such a good time with LaChelle Adkins already, who we've met through our incredible mutual friend, Chip Baker. So we are so glad, and give a shout out to good old Coach Chip for giving us a good recommendation here. And I got to tell you, LaChelle, when Chip connected us, and then you go, I would love to talk to you. I'd love to meet you. And you were so positive and happy. And you go, here's my YouTube channel. And I opened it up and I have 15 kids. And I was like,
She told me and I was like, what? She has what?
See, here's the beauty of this episode with the three of us on this, because people usually say to me, what? Oh gosh, you have 2 blind kids? Wow. And then they say to Mary Fran, oh, you have a recovering heroin addict child? Wow. And now we get to go, you have 15 kids. Wow.
What?
We're gonna
Here's the thing. I'm bowing down no matter what.
I'm feeling more and more comfortable by the minute. Hey, we all are fitting in here right along together. This is great.
Yeah, I think that the Facebook's bandwidth couldn't handle the power of the momness here with all three of us.
So. I believe
That's probably
so.
it.
Yeah.
That's probably it.
But welcome to the show. Welcome to our mission. We are so happy to meet you and talk with you today.
I'm really glad to be here. And I want to give a shout out to Chip too. And I'm just really enjoying you guys' energy. You guys are so much fun. I'm so glad that we crossed paths and connected. So I'm glad to be here today.
Oh, well, thanks. And I got to tell you, for those listening on our audio, the fact that you've got behind you a nice, organized, pretty situation going on.
It's a good stage, isn't it?
She's got, the woman's got on jewelry. Like, the woman's wearing jewelry.
It is for you guys.
Oh, well, okay. I'm totally impressed, because I've been wearing the same yoga pants and slippers for 6 weeks now. So you put
I took a shower today, so yeah, I'm feeling good.
Well, I picked out my best Phillies trucker hat for all of y'all. So there you go. I haven't had a salon appointment since the beginning, even before the beginning of quarantine. And I'm considering it a very essential business. And all the hairdressers. Let me tell you something. It's all the bald men of the world that are saying it's not an essential business. So
right.
Don't feel my
right. Right. This is so true. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's get into LaChelle's story, because we could just talk like girlfriends for the whole half hour here.
Yes.
So, we do this we do the reset, which is kind of the sucker punch train wreck, where we kind of had to go like, what's going on? And then we talk about the rise and revealing your brilliance. So wherever you want to start in that story, fill us in on the details.
Well, yeah, I will start at the beginning. So my story began where I was an only child. So didn't have any brothers and sisters growing up.
Whoa. Man, did you overcompensate?
Well, I think, all those brothers and sisters I prayed for every Christmas, I just had them myself. I'm assuming that's how that worked out. But needless to say, we wanted 5 children at first. And we ended up with 15, but we had 13 together, and then I have 2 stepchildren. I really was on this path. My mom was one of 12. So she had 11 brothers and sisters, and, her mom got a divorce from her dad, and when she was a teenager. So she really saw the struggle of being a single mom. And so education was her way of saying, hey, I'm going to break this cycle. So needless to say, that was something she really imprinted on me, was, just working hard, doing good, getting your accolades. And, I had made honor roll in gifted classes and things like that. So education was really an outlet for me. So it really caused me to kind of have that desire to get those awards, that recognition and all that, the validation from other people. Mm-hmm. So when I had children, and I never had an example of what a stay-home mom was going to be, except for the soap operas, and they have nannies and flying all across the country. That definitely wasn't my reality. So I really had to kind of figure out what that looked like for me. And so it was a struggle because all my friends that really, I grew up with, they all were career oriented. So nobody really was that example for me to stay home. So from 2003 to 2016, I really struggled with depression because I was seeking validation from other people, not really having good boundaries, had this checklist of stuff I thought I had to have done for the kids, and never really fulfilled for myself. And so this period of being depressed, I was still functioning. So I was going to soccer games, I was going to PTO, doing all the things that other people are like, wow, how do you do it? How do you have it all together? But inside, I was a basket case.
Mm.
So each of my times where I was hospitalized, I ended up being hospitalized. My husband sought intervention. Um, I just had this period where I would come home, it would be good for a while, and then boom, I'm back to the same routine of burning the candle at both ends, not sleeping right, not really in a very structured self-care routine.
Mm-hmm.
So it was always like my validation and worth was how much I could do for other people and not looking out for myself. In addition to that, my husband was a pastor, so I was first lady. He also was an officer in the military. So there was a element of, the officers' wives not being with the enlisted, all this kind of stuff. On top of the pressure of being with PTO and things like that with the kids. So, needless to say, after the third hospitalization, I just recognized that, this really could be a pattern. I don't want it to be a fourth time. So I really did a lot of self-reflection and came up with a strategy that I call Fresh Start. And it's an acronym of 5 pillars that I use to overcome that depression. And now I help other women face some real truths about what's going on in their life so that they can live a more fulfilled life also.
Wow.
That's so impressive. And I have to tell
Thank
you, I can relate on many levels, not the 15 children part, thank you, Jesus. But I struggled with anxiety and depression my whole life. And it wasn't until I finally ended up, I guess I was in my 40s maybe when I sought treatment for it initially, or maybe my late 30s.
How old are you?
Oh, I'm old.
Yeah,
I'm really old.
Good, girl.
She's
I'm going to be 61 on my next birthday.
Stop it.
I'm not kidding.
Well, you
Praise the
look
Lord.
good. I'm
Well, you
glad
know
I
what?
met you. I got
So
somebody
Zoom,
that keeps me to look, I can look young with. I'll be like,
there you
hey,
go.
what are all your secrets?
There you go. It's a Zoom filter. That's what my secret is. But anyway, I struggled with anxiety and depression for a very long time. And you're exactly right. You're doing those things that first of all, you want to do them. You want to do them for your children. You want to do them for your family. But there's also a measure of you're playing this role. You have to do these things because that's what society says that person does.
Exactly.
And by the end of the day, you're completely and utterly depleted. You're not feeling satisfied out of anything that you did, even if you were helping other people. And it wasn't until I actually went to therapy and medication that I finally got that stuff under control. But it is a tough road because you got to function every day.
Yeah. And, I think if you don't have that element of self-care, which I didn't, self-care, I always associated that with going to get my hair done or nails. And I just, as a stay-home mom with as many children as we had, that was not a priority for me, going to the hairstylist or getting my nails done. Right.
Yeah.
So for me, I would just deplete myself, like what you said, every day. So I would get the kids in bed and I think, oh, I have time for myself. Well, then I'm sleeping in the bed with my clothes on, book in my lap, nodding over, not a good night's rest sleep. And so they wake up, they're energized, they've had a good night's rest, and I'm like running on zero from the very beginning of the day. Yeah. So that cycle is just not, productive.
Not sustainable. Yeah. Oh my
so
gosh.
What does the acronym FRESH and Fresh Start stand for? I'm on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, I want to hear too.
Awesome. Okay. So the F is fear is fuel. So the first element for me was I didn't want to go to the hospital a fourth time. So I used that fear to really say, ask myself the hard questions. I couldn't blame my husband anymore, my kids. That resentment, bitterness, I had to let it go and say, what about this scenario is the common denominator? And it was me. So I had to ask myself the hard questions, what are the patterns? What are the things that I'm doing that I can see that this situation can change? And so I really felt that I was empowered, but I really was giving my power away. So anytime I allowed other people to try to validate what I felt I was, that was me giving my power away. Because if they didn't agree that I was doing good, then, I'm at their mercy of whatever they dictate as being, a good person, a good mom, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first element. The next one was reframing the past. So I really lived in this victim mindset for a long time. Everything was around, well, I was in the hospital and this is me, woe is me. And I just said, I'm tired of this. This just does not give me any thing positive. It really was against who I was. Very competitive growing up as a child, striving for success. And that just didn't mesh with my personality, being a victim. So I just had to really face that past and say, look, okay, it happened. What are the things that I could take out of this past and not forget about it, but use it to move forward? So a lot of people, when they have an aha moment, so to speak, they go and try to put their past in a closet and hope nobody opens that closet. And it's like it never happened. But when you reframe, you take those elements so that it's not a shadow behind you. You've embraced it, faced it, overcome it, and now it's a part of who you are. You had a question?
It's funny when you're saying that. I think the thing about victimhood that is so universal is that when something happens to you, you can be victimized. It is, that's what it is. But the problem is, and this goes back to something Kristen and I talk about all the time, the problem is when you live there, when you live in that state, as opposed to saying, okay, like you're saying, this happened, now how can I take it and reframe it? And then you're just visiting. Then you're just visiting with victimhood, and you move out of it. So I really like the way you switch your head.
And everybody, is a victim at something, because you think about it, if you're a child and something happens to you, you can grow up with a mindset. Let's just say you were bullied as a kid, right? You were a victim then. And so you didn't really know how to defend yourself in a lot of cases. So you beat yourself up, personally, as you get older, because it's like, why didn't I say something? Why didn't I do something? But the truth of the matter was you were victimized, but you didn't know how to handle that. And you didn't know how to, deal with that emotion. But when you go back and revisit it, then you can really heal from it, because you're carrying other weight about that past that is not yours to carry. So you're able to understand that and take it apart, and just
put the baggage down, put it down.
Exactly.
Drop the rock. That's another thing that I drop the rock. Stop carrying the rock. Drop the rock.
Let me write that down.
Yeah, we're all taking notes. We're listening. We're talking to each other. We're all taking notes. Drop the rock.
So,
in fact, that's
I love that.
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
Let's move on to E. I can't wait to hear the rest of these.
So E is envision your success. So for me, had the same husband, same kids, same house when I came back
all
from
those same things. How are you going to get this changed up?
Exactly. So I had to start with a vision board. So I had to create that picture of what I was working towards, because my family still saw me the same. So for a period of time, they would be like, oh, we're going to do things different or whatever. And then boom, we're back to the same pattern. So when I envisioned a new success for me, I began to put that all around me. I made a vision board. I would hang it in my office, put it as a screensaver on my phone, so that I was not focused so much on that validation that I needed every day. I knew what my goal was, an outcome. And so I was focused on acquiring that rather than getting the validation from my family, who was really not in a position to do it. Because I'll just get to the next one. So the next one is creating a
you're
support.
right. It's okay to stop there, because we say this a lot, that the people closest to us, they see us in certain roles and in certain ways. In
Mhm.
fact, I just said this to Kristen this morning, that, it people see what we put out there for them, and our family knows us a certain way, and it's often those second, third, and fourth removed connections and people that see us in a different way, because they don't see all the warts and the bumps and the bruises and all that.
So true. So true. So that goes to the next one, which is your support group and tribe for the S.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's so important to, I think this was one of the key things that helped me to continue to grow and to evolve in spite of the time that it's still taking for my family. So even now, 4 years later, we're still struggling with, me changing and having a different outlook and new habits and, just a different mindset. But what gives me peace about that is having a support group that I know that they see me where I am currently and where I'm moving towards.
Mm-hmm.
And they help me to continue to do that. So I'm able to still maintain a level of growth and then not look to them for the growth that I feel that I should be doing for myself. I can grow myself and just accept them and have empathy and compassion for where they are, because when they become aware of what it is that they want to do, then they'll be able to make the change instead of me nagging them and saying, hey, let's just do it this way. Don't you think you should change or whatever? And so that has really helped me maintain that level of growth. And then the last letter is H, which is healing. So this is key to have empathy and compassion. So I was 46 when I was hospitalized the last time. So I explained to my kids that it took me 46 years to have an aha moment. So for them, I can't expect them to just transform their mindset in 2 weeks or a year or maybe 2 years for
Yeah.
something that took me 46. So knowing that healing and the fact that I'm not the only victim, they are too, because, they had a stay-home mom who was just uprooted 3 different times. And some of them, based on their ages, they may not understand, well, why did that happen? Did I
Yeah.
have something to do with it? And so that whole process of even getting back to connect with them and having a relationship is something we're still working on today. But recognizing that it takes time and everybody heals differently helps me to have compassion and empathy and patience with working it out until, they come to their own aha moment.
Well, and having that understanding and that approach and the communication, I saw for me, what, 3 years ago, I entered into this divorce nightmare, right? That I had never
Mm-hmm.
intended on and had to let go, as Mary Fran always says, let go of the outcomes you intended, let go of all the plans you had and everything. And I kept crashing and my kids were here. And you
Mm-hmm.
know what I will say? And then we had another horrific thing happen on top of it. And the four of us, I have 3 kids, came together as a unit that is just unbelievable now, stronger than we could have ever been before. But I started talking to them about, they're teens and college. So I was
Mm-hmm.
able to say, look, yes, I screwed that up. I'm crashing. The one night I couldn't even figure out a place to order pizza because they all have their different ones they argue about. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you guys have to figure out the pizza. I'll pay for it. And then we're going to go from here. And then we were looking at, are we going to file for bankruptcy? And we went into looking at our gift cards and getting creative but
Right.
having those, being able to have those conversations with my kids, even though they were hard and they weren't ones I ever wanted them to have with me, but to be able to be open and say, I don't know how to handle this,
Mm-hmm.
but we're going to figure it out together. Or when I would have a tantrum and I would go back and apologize and say, that wasn't very adult of me to just like stamp my feet and freak out that you didn't do your homework for the 9,000th time, but mom's kind of at the end of her rope. But we've been able to just have a whole new relationship based on empathy and compassion for each other.
Mm-hmm. So
That's
true.
huge.
Yeah, that is big. And I think a lot of it for me, so being an only child, I thought, well, if I want something, I just have to work harder. So I thought me working hard was going to achieve whatever outcome I wanted, not
Mhm.
thinking that, that just something as simple as your kids doing good in school. So if they, you have the desire for them to be on honor roll, but do they desire that, right?
Right.
One child might be motivated by grades, another one may not. So what do you do? So I have learned over time to allow my kids to create their own goals. Imagine that. And then me help them accomplish what they want instead of me trying to create the goal for them.
You're
singing
speaking
my
Kristen's
song.
language.
You're
You are
singing my
speaking.
song on that one.
You are speaking her language.
I keep saying now as I'm talking and doing interviews and stuff, I have two blind kids, and I would never say blindness is a blessing or a non-blessing. It just is. But what it took me 20 years in this journey to realize is what blindness did for me was my dreams for them were extinguished. They were gone. And it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me, because my kids, people say, my God, the stuff your kids accomplish and do. And I'm like, I know. I didn't know what they were going to do. So I always say that my job is to get them what they need and follow their lead. Like, I don't know what they're going to do. And it was hard with my sighted daughter, because then I was like, hey, she has my soccer talent at a higher level, and we're going to go. We're going to be on the women's Olympic team. And then she goes, guess what? I'm done with soccer. And I'm like, no, it's a team dream, you and me.
Yes.
And then she's like, yeah, no. And I thought, all right, I got to just back up and watching her in basketball, watching the glow on her face.
Yes.
And in sports, I don't understand. Field hockey, I'm like, what is even happening here? And she's just glowing. Yeah. But that's
I love that. Now, so explain that thing about the blindness just is. How many people, I mean, that is just hard for people to get.
I know. And look, I'm 20 years
what
into
made you, so what made you just have that?
Honestly, when I was pregnant with my second son, I'll do a very short version of it. I was pregnant with my second son, and came to my delirious optimist self, had a dose of reality the one morning that was like, whoa, 25% chance that the next one's going to be affected. And my oldest son was 3.5. And when I tell you, it was the biggest, people say God whispers, not to Kristen. He banged me over the head. He's like,
because she talks too much.
Yeah.
He has to tell her to be quiet so he can be heard.
He's like, so I was having a massive, upsetting, fearful, like just breakdown, scared to death that my second one was going to be affected. And my little Michael came bouncing into my bedroom that morning. And the big thing is that he said to me was, isn't this the best day ever? Simply because he had everything he needed with his toys, his music, and the sun being up. And he was the happiest little person you could ever meet. He still is.
Yeah.
So what I realized was blindness didn't bother him. It's us that's bothered by it.
Exactly.
And when that changed for me, our whole lives changed. Because I started, everything was already being sent to me that I had been praying blindness away instead of praying for the right perception of it. And once my eyes were open, literally, I saw all the stuff had been coming my way. I was just still looking at the door of football quarterback, instead of all this other stuff that he could be. And then it just opened. I mean, it blew the roof off of it. I would love to say that then I was the perfect mom.
Oh, no. Yeah, I know what you mean. But, that is just profound because, you bring up like we pray because we want the outcome we want. That's just the hard thing about prayer is being able to say, you know what? I submit to whatever you give me. See, that's the hard thing because we think, oh, I'm praying because I want the outcome I want.
Yeah.
But what happens when it turns out differently? So, yeah, that's profound.
So, first of all, I love every single one of these words because I hear so many echoes of what Kristen and I talk about in all of this. And that's been, I think Kristen and I have both come to the realization that as we talk to more and more people, we are so reassured because the similar themes run through everyone. When you kind of have these aha moments, you're like, oh my gosh, that's what this is all about,
Yeah.
Right.
So now take us to the point where you are sharing this with others, where you did the reset. This is your rise, this fresh start. And now how do you take this out to other people? What do you do to share this? Because this needs to be shared.
Yeah,
I just want that out there.
I know. I have a podcast and I speak on every platform I can find because one of the things I've found with coaching, so to speak, because, I do coach groups as well as one-on-one, but I'm kind of getting away from that title. So this year I call myself a lifestyle designer, even though I play the same role.
Mm-hmm.
But for people, the mindset is like, it's the end thing to have a coach, but are you really changing anything, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just the end thing, to do.
Yeah.
But I find that people really need to be educated about, it's a journey. It's not an overnight fix when it comes to really facing some of these hard truths about things that have been limiting beliefs or core principles that you have built your life on. And it's like the rug is pulled up underneath you when you kind of have those moments of, the foundation just being so low that you have to build it back up. So it requires a lot of education. So I do a lot of things, like podcasts, and I'm trying to write more so that people can have a outlet to kind of begin to learn that it's okay to, be depressed and to admit it and seek help. Because as women, a lot of times we wear masks. So it's like, I have a mask for this thing. I was that, that person. I had one for church. I had one for officer functions. I had one when I took my kids to school, and different things like that, where I just didn't even know who I was when I looked in the mirror. So I think a lot of people suffer with that. And so my main thing is to create a movement to where it's okay and it's safe to begin to admit some of these things that we're really struggling with.
Wow.
I'm hearing, and this is one of the things I think that women struggle with a lot. That when you said earlier about how all of this affected your family in terms of you changing your roles within even that. And I think that's why a lot of women resist it, because they're afraid they're going to experience rejection by the people that they love the most when they try to be something different. So how did you deal with that?
Well, and I think another thing is it's hard because, it's not going to be like, oh, everybody's going to embrace that, because habits have formed and mindsets have been certain ways about, but you played a part in that, so in my case, I can't blame anybody else, because if I didn't have boundaries, you teach people how to treat you. So if I taught them to not have boundaries, that's me. So, of course, for me to reprogram them, so to speak, it's going to take time. It's going to take patience, but it's going to take me being consistent. It's just like a child, and I think once you get to the point where you recognize, you know what, I matter, I'm enough. I'm not the one that has to do these roles in order to get the love or the validation that I feel. I get that. I should have that anyway. Not based on what I'm doing and everything like that. And so that was another issue, was that I attached my worth to the roles that I play. So if my kids made honor roll, then it's like, yes, I'm that great mom. But when they
I
get a
did
C,
it. Yay!
right. But when they get a C, it's like, okay, well, whose child is this? You know what I mean? Because you feel like, oh, I'm not doing good, even though, now I've already been in whatever grade they're in. So how is that a reflection of me? But as parents, moms especially, we just internalize their actions as being a reflection of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the truth. You know what I love in all of this? So we say it's the reset, the rise, and the reveal your brilliance. The fact that it's, I'm going to try to verbalize this right. The fact that you say fresh start. So when people get nailed by something, or they feel that they're being called to do something else and they have to reset, if you look at it as a fresh start, as opposed to the end of all of your hopes and dreams, that was the switch that when I was stuck further in a divorce pit than I was in the blindness pit, because I had all of these, the roles that you thought and shame to it and all of that. When people started talking to me about this is a new journey, this is new, this is something that you can change and have a whole new chapter. So you look at it as a fresh start. That's when I started to climb out. I love that you call it a fresh start.
Yeah, and it's just like, a lot of times we attach so much meaning to a past that has had you miserable, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, if you have a flip of your mind and saying, do I want another I'm sorry about this. I put this on Do Not Disturb. But do I want another 10 years, in my case, 13 years of this depression? No.
Yeah.
That's what I need to be looking at. Do I want another 13 years? So no, I can start today to have 13 awesome years the way that I design it and move forward, you know, but we attach so much weight to, oh, it's always been this way. And this new thing, I mean, the possibilities are endless if you just let go of that rock. Like what you said, drop that rock.
Drop the rock,
Move
baby.
forward.
Yeah,
Drop
that's
the
what my
rock.
friend's thing is, stop being so married to those outcomes. And even people right now that, like we say, it doesn't have to be as big as blindness, divorce, all that, depression. People that are looking at their business plan is not, it just blew up. Everybody's business plans just blew up.
Exactly.
But the ones that I was just talking to somebody else about this morning, my friends that have businesses, especially the brick and mortar ones, the ones that sat and sulked for too long are still, they don't know what to do. But the other ones that said, okay, how can I switch a little bit differently to maybe just keep serving people? And they looked at it as a little bit of a fresh start in online or dipping your toe somewhere else. And they're going to be okay.
Yeah, they're doing that pivot. They're like, look, you know, I can keep going down this road to nowhere.
Yeah.
Or I can see there's another exit. Okay.
I've been too far down that road before. I don't like that road. That is one ugly road.
You're gonna hit a wall and break an ankle. No thanks.
Well, you know, in my thing, I made this saying that said, dead ends have warning signs. So there's signs that you're ignoring. This is a dead end. Okay, get the message, turn around.
Yeah, if you keep going, that's on you. You can have a pity party. Yeah, you're quarantined all by yourself if you keep going down.
Exactly.
But you know what's great about this whole, even this part of this conversation is that this whole thing is a process and it's a journey. And at any point, you can take that one step, even if it's only a quarter turn around, but you can take that one little move to start moving things in a different direction. And we talked to Luann Kahn yesterday, who's a local TV reporter, and she's written a book and all, and she talked about daring herself to do one thing differently every single day. And it was, you know, sometimes it was just really silly stuff. But if you try to do one single thing every day that just moves you ever so slightly down that other path that you want to explore a little bit. It might not be the right one in its entirety, but you have to start somewhere. And I love the fact that you say it's a process.
So true. And if you, just like she's saying that one thing, so you just say that's like a 1% increase, right? So at the end of a year, that's 365% how you move forward, right?
Wow.
Yeah. That's amazing when you think about it.
That's a major.
Wow, that's not even 100%. That's 365% different.
365%.
Wow.
Isn't that phenomenal?
Can't we? All right, Mary Fran, stop being a timekeeper. Can we have a 3-hour show? Can we just?
Yeah, I'm looking at the clock on. We could keep at this for a long time, but I keep looking at the clock on. Geez, we got it.
I'm glad we're putting the rain on you this time.
That's true. I'm thoroughly enjoying the pressure, I have to say. I'm thoroughly enjoying the pressure. But we do have to. So tell everybody where they can find you, because I have to tell you, I'm absorbing all of your awesomeness, and I want everybody to find
so
you.
good.
Thank you. Well, I do have a podcast that's on Apple, Spotify, and everything under America's Supermom. And then I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. And I have a YouTube channel.
Wow. I have all that stuff too, but I don't understand any of it.
She doesn't do any of it.
Hey,
Kristen tells me what to do.
It's exhausting, LaChelle. Exhausting.
It is.
No, with Mary Fran. I even send her the stuff and I go, copy this and tweet it. You know what she says to me? No. She says, no, I'm going to go stuff my face again. I'm eating and I'll have to do it later. And I'm like,
yes. Well, you know what? In her defense, you know, when computers first came around, it was so complicated, right?
Yes, it was, LaChelle.
And you know what? We need to reframe, Mary.
That's right.
Reframe.
That's
all
fresh start. She's going to be a crazy person on all the platforms.
because now they do have it really user friendly. But I think, you know what? I had that same thing. It was just like this fear, like you remembered that old way. And it's like, I just can't even go there. Right.
Yeah.
I just can't even do it. So I used to say to my kids, can you do this? And my kids would be like, Mom, can you figure this out? And I thought, what in the world? Why would they tell me that? Right. So now I'm on platforms and I'm telling them stuff. They're like, Mom, how do you know? And I said, hey, I heard it on the podcast or
That's
something.
right.
So,
I figured it out, baby.
I know.
I took my fresh start.
I always asked mine to do stuff for me, like with Instagram and all. And then my daughter she came home from school. She's a freshman in high school. She came home from school the one day and she goes, so you're on TikTok. I said, yes, I am, with our dogs. Her friends are all seeing my TikToks.
Oh my God.
I just blew right past you.
Thank you, LaChelle, for joining us.
This was so fun.
This was really a lot of fun. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Totally delightful.
Thanks for the fun, the smiles, the fresh start. It's that mindset shift now that I have in my head. It's perfect.
Good.
And make sure everybody goes and checks out LaChelle, America's Supermom. And I 365% agree. And we are going to 1% level up every single day, see where we're at. Hey, we should come back in a year from now and we'll all talk again and see where we're at.
That'll be fun. I'm not going to have any kids though. So that's going to be my thing. I'm not having that.
I hope not.
Done with
no
that.
more kids.
No.
All right.
But I'm looking forward to you guys coming on the podcast. So
yeah, we're going to be on your show.
Excited.
Yeah.
We're going to tear up the airwaves again. This is great. All the bandwidth is going, oh boy, they're all getting together again. All right. Thanks so much, LaChelle. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Brilliantly Resilient Live.